The morning sun cast long shadows across the palace courtyard as 8-year-old Princess Emma skipped along the cobblestone path. Her golden curls bounced with each step, and her bright blue dress swayed in the gentle breeze. The young princess had always been curious about life beyond the palace walls, often wandering to the edges of the royal grounds to watch the bustling city beyond. That Tuesday morning started like any other. Princess Emma had finished her morning lessons with her tutor and was given permission to play in the gardens before lunch. The royal guards were positioned at their usual posts, maintaining their watchful eyes on the grounds. Among them was Captain Marcus, a veteran guard who had served the royal family for 15 years. The palace grounds were vast and beautiful, filled with manicured gardens, fountains, and winding paths. Near the eastern gate stood the royal stables, home to the finest horses in the kingdom. Among these magnificent animals was Thunder, a powerful black stallion known for his intelligence and fierce loyalty. Thunder had been trained specifically for royal guard duties and had an extraordinary bond with Captain Marcus. As Princess Emma played near the rose garden, she noticed a small butterfly with brilliant orange wings. Fascinated by its beauty, she began following it as it fluttered from flower to flower. The butterfly led her further and further from the main palace building toward the less monitored areas of the estate. Unknown to anyone at the palace, a dangerous man had been watching the royal family's routine for weeks. Thomas Brennan, a desperate criminal with nothing left to lose, had developed a twisted plan. He had lost everything in bad business deals and blamed the royal family for his misfortunes. In his disturbed mind, he believed that taking the princess would solve all his problems. Brennan had studied the palace security carefully. He knew the guards' patrol schedules and had identified the weak points in their surveillance. He had noticed that the eastern section of the grounds near the old garden wall was less frequently monitored during the late morning hours. This was where he planned to make his move. The criminal had positioned himself outside the palace walls for 3 days, hidden among the thick bushes that grew along the ancient stone barrier. He carried with him a small bag containing rope, cloth, and other items he believed he would need for his terrible plan. His hands shook with nervous energy as he waited for the perfect moment. As Princess Emma continued chasing the butterfly, she found herself near the eastern wall, further from the palace than she had ever been alone. The butterfly landed on a beautiful white rose that grew near an old wooden gate in the wall. This gate had not been used in years and was mostly forgotten by the current staff. Brennan saw his opportunity. The little princess was alone, distracted by the butterfly, and far from any guards. He quietly began to climb over the wall, his heart pounding with adrenaline and fear. Years of planning had led to this moment, and he was determined to go through with his plan. Princess Emma reached for the white rose, standing on her tiptoes to get a better look at the butterfly. She was completely unaware of the danger that was now just yards away from her. The morning was peaceful and quiet, with only the gentle sound of wind rustling through the leaves and the distant sound of horses in the nearby stables. The palace continued its normal routine, with servants preparing for the midday meal and guards maintaining their posts. Captain Marcus was conducting his usual inspection of the grounds, but he was currently on the opposite side of the estate. None of the staff had any idea that their beloved princess was in terrible danger. As Brennan dropped silently to the ground, inside the palace walls he crouched behind a large oak tree. Princess Emma was only 20 feet away from him, still focused on the beautiful butterfly. The criminal took a deep breath and began to move closer, staying low and using the garden's landscaping to hide his approach. The butterfly suddenly flew away, causing Princess Emma to look up and around. For a brief moment she felt in strange uneasiness, as if something was not quite right. However, being only 8 years old, she could not identify what was bothering her. She decided to pick the white rose to take back to her mother, the queen. Brennan was now just 10 feet away from the young princess. He could see her clearly and began to prepare the cloth he planned to use to keep her quiet. His plan was to grab her quickly, cover her mouth, and carry her back over the wall to his waiting horse. From there, he would take her to an abandoned cottage he had prepared in the mountains. Princess Emma bent down to pick up a fallen rose petal, and in that moment, Brennan made his move. He stepped out from behind the tree and began rushing toward the unsuspecting child. His footsteps were nearly silent on the soft grass, and Princess Emma remained completely unaware of the approaching danger. Just as Brennan reached out to grab the princess, something unexpected happened. Thunder, the royal guard's stallion, had been grazing in a nearby paddock when he sensed something was wrong. The intelligent horse had developed an extraordinary ability to detect threats to the royal family, and every instinct told him that danger was present. Thunder's ears perked up and his head snapped toward the eastern garden. The magnificent black stallion could sense fear and danger in ways that humans could not understand. His powerful muscles tensed as he detected the presence of an intruder near Princess Emma. Without hesitation, Thunder began moving toward the wooden fence that separated his paddock from the garden area. The horse's hooves thundered against the ground as he approached the fence. His eyes were fixed on the scene unfolding near the eastern wall, where a strange man was rushing toward the young princess. Thunder had been trained to protect the royal family, and every fiber of his being was now focused on that single purpose. Princess Emma heard the sound of approaching hoofbeats and looked up from the rose she was examining. She was surprised to see Thunder running toward the fence, his dark mane flowing in the wind. The princess had always loved horses and was delighted to see one of her favorites. She waved at Thunder with a bright smile, completely unaware that the horse was actually rushing to save her life. Brennan was now only 5 feet away from Princess Emma when he heard the thundering hooves. He glanced over his shoulder and saw the massive black stallion charging toward the fence. The criminal's heart began racing even faster, but he was too committed to his plan to stop now. He reached out his hand to grab the princess's arm. Thunder reached the wooden fence and, without slowing down, launched himself over it in a powerful jump. The stallion's athletic ability was extraordinary, and he cleared the 4-foot fence with ease. His landing shook the ground, and the sound caused Princess Emma to turn around just as Brennan's hand was about to touch her shoulder. The princess's eyes widened in shock as she saw the strange man reaching for her. She had never seen him before, and immediately knew something was very wrong. Her natural instincts told her to run, but she was too frightened to move. She stood frozen in place, her small hand still holding the white rose. Thunder landed directly between Princess Emma and Brennan, his massive body forming a protective barrier. The stallion reared up on his hind legs, his front hooves striking the air dangerously close to the intruder's face. Thunder's powerful whinny echoed across the gardens, a warning call that could be heard throughout the palace grounds. Brennan stumbled backward, terrified by the enormous horse that had appeared seemingly from nowhere. Thunder was over 16, hands tall, and weighed more than 1,000 pounds. The stallion's eyes were fierce and intelligent, and Brennan realized immediately that this horse was not going to allow him to reach the princess. The criminal tried to move around Thunder to get to Princess Emma, but the intelligent stallion anticipated his every move. When Brennan stepped to the left, Thunder moved to block him. When he tried to go right, the horse was there waiting. Thunder's training and natural protective instincts made him a formidable guardian. Princess Emma, still in shock, began to understand that Thunder was protecting her from this dangerous stranger. She took several steps backward, putting more distance between herself and Brennan. Her voice was small and frightened as she called out, "Help! Someone help me!" Thunder heard the princess's frightened cry and became even more aggressive toward the intruder. The stallion charged forward, forcing Brennan to run several yards away from Princess Emma. Thunder then positioned himself directly in front of the child, his powerful body creating an impenetrable wall of protection. Brennan realized that his carefully planned abduction was falling apart. The horse was too intelligent and too protective to allow him to get close to the princess. Worse yet, the stallion's loud whinnying had surely alerted the palace guards. The criminal knew he had only minutes before the entire royal guard would be searching for him. Meanwhile, Thunder's warning calls had indeed been heard throughout the palace. Captain Marcus, who was inspecting the western gardens, immediately recognized the sound of distress from his beloved horse. He knew Thunder's different calls and understood that this particular whinny meant serious danger. The captain dropped his inspection clipboard and began running toward the eastern section of the grounds. Other guards heard the commotion as well, and started converging on the area. The palace's emergency protocols were automatically activated, with all available security personnel moving to investigate the disturbance. Princess Emma's call for help had also been heard by several palace servants who were working in the nearby kitchen garden. They immediately stopped their tasks and began shouting for the guards. Within moments, the quiet morning had transformed into a scene of urgent activity as the palace staff mobilized to protect their beloved princess. Brennan looked around desperately, realizing that he was now trapped inside the palace grounds with guards approaching from multiple directions. His only escape route was back over the eastern wall, but thunder stood between him and that path. The stallion watched his every movement with intelligent, determined eyes. The criminal made one final desperate attempt to reach Princess Emma. He feinted to the left and then quickly moved right, hoping to confuse the horse and slip past him. However, Thunder was far too smart for such a simple trick. The stallion immediately moved to block Brennan's path, rearing up again and striking out with his front hooves. Thunder's hooves came within inches of Brennan's face, and the criminal stumbled backward so violently that he fell to the ground. The horse then stepped forward, placing his massive body directly over the fallen intruder. Thunder's message was clear. Any movement toward the princess would result in serious consequences. Princess Emma, though still frightened, began to feel safer with Thunder protecting her. She had grown up around horses and understood that Thunder was her friend and guardian. She reached out her small hand and gently touched the stallion's strong neck, whispering, "Thank you, Thunder. You're keeping me safe." The sound of running, footsteps and shouting voices grew closer as the palace guards approached the eastern garden. Captain Marcus's voice could be heard above the others, calling out commands to secure the area and protect the princess. The net was closing around. Brennan and his desperate plan was about to come to a complete end. Captain Marcus burst through the hedge line that separated the formal gardens from the eastern section of the grounds. His sword was already drawn, and his trained eyes quickly assessed the dangerous situation unfolding before him. He could see Princess Emma standing behind Thunder, who was maintaining his protective position over a man lying on the ground. The experienced guard captain immediately understood what had happened. Thunder's aggressive posture and defensive position told the entire story. Someone had attempted to harm Princess Emma, and the loyal stallion had intervened to protect her. Captain Marcus felt a surge of pride and gratitude toward his four-legged partner. "Nobody move," Captain Marcus shouted in his commanding voice. "Guards surround the area immediately." Within seconds, 4 additional guards arrived from different directions, their weapons ready and their eyes focused on the intruder who was still pinned beneath Thunder's watchful gaze. Brennan, realizing that his situation was now hopeless, tried one last time to escape. He rolled quickly to his left and attempted to sprint toward the eastern wall. However, Thunder was ready for this move. The intelligent stallion stepped sideways and blocked the criminal's path, forcing him to stop abruptly or risk being trampled. "Thunder, easy boy," Captain Marcus called out, recognizing that his horse was in full protection mode. The stallion's ears twitched at the sound of his master's voice, but his eyes never left the dangerous intruder. Thunder understood that his job was not yet finished. Princess Emma, though still shaken by the frightening encounter, found her voice and called out to Captain Marcus. "He tried to grab me," she said, pointing at Brennan with a trembling finger. "Thunder saved me. He jumped over the fence and stopped the bad man from taking me away." The captain's face darkened with anger as he fully grasped the severity of what had almost happened. Someone had actually attempted to abduct the princess, and if not for Thunder's incredible instincts and bravery, the outcome could have been tragic. Captain Marcus stepped closer to Brennan, his sword pointed directly at the criminal's chest. "Who are you and what did you think you were doing?" the captain demanded. His voice was cold and dangerous, and every guard present could hear the barely controlled fury in his tone. The safety of the royal family was Captain Marcus's most sacred responsibility, and this intruder had violated that trust in the worst possible way. Brennan, seeing that he was completely surrounded and that escape was impossible, finally gave up his resistance. "My name is Thomas Brennan," he said, his voice shaking with fear. "I just wanted to talk to her. I wasn't going to hurt anyone." His lies were obvious to everyone present, especially given the rope and cloth that had fallen from his bag during the struggle with Thunder. "Liar," Captain Marcus snapped. "Guards, search his belongings immediately." 2 guards quickly examined the items that had scattered from Brennan's bag when he fell. They found rope, cloth for gagging, a crude map of the palace grounds, and notes detailing the royal family's daily routines. The evidence made it clear that this had been a carefully planned abduction attempt. Captain Marcus felt sick thinking about what could have happened if Thunder had not been in the nearby paddock. The stallion's presence and quick action had literally saved Princess Emma's life. "Chain him immediately," the captain ordered. "And send word to the king and queen right away. They need to know what has happened." 2 guards moved forward with heavy iron shackles and secured Brennan's hands and feet. The criminal's shoulders slumped in defeat as the reality of his situation finally sank in. Princess Emma, now feeling much safer with the guards present, walked up to Thunder and wrapped her small arms around his powerful neck. "You're the bravest horse in the whole world," she whispered into his mane. "I will never forget what you did for me today." Thunder gently nuzzled the princess with his soft nose, his fierce demeanor softening in her presence. Captain Marcus watched this touching scene with deep emotion. In his 15 years of service, he had never seen such a clear demonstration of the bond between the royal family and their protectors. Thunder was not just a horse. He was a true guardian who had risked his own safety to protect an innocent child. Word of the attempted abduction spread quickly throughout the palace. Servants and staff members gathered in small groups, whispering about the terrible thing that had almost happened to their beloved princess. Many of them had watched Princess Emma grow from a baby into the bright, curious child she was today, and the thought of losing her was unbearable. The king and queen received the news while they were in a meeting with visiting diplomats. The queen immediately excused herself and ran toward the eastern gardens, her heart pounding with fear and worry. The king followed close behind, his face grave with concern for his daughter's safety. When the royal parents arrived at the scene, they found Princess Emma sitting peacefully next to Thunder, gently stroking his neck while telling him what a good horse he was. The sight of their daughter safe and unharmed brought tears of relief to both the king and queen's eyes. "My darling, are you hurt?" the queen asked, kneeling down to embrace her daughter. Princess Emma shook her head and smiled. "Thunder protected me, Mama. He jumped over the fence like a flying horse and stopped the scary man from taking me away." The ideous king looked at Thunder with newfound respect and admiration. He had always known the stallion was special, but now he understood that Thunder was truly extraordinary. The horse had demonstrated intelligence, bravery, and loyalty that went far beyond normal animal behavior. Captain Marcus approached the king and gave a formal bow. "Your Majesty, if Thunder had not been in the paddock this morning, we might have lost the princess. This horse deserves the highest honors we can bestow upon him." The king nodded solemnly, already planning how to properly reward Thunder for his heroic actions. Brennan was led away in chains, his head hanging low as he was escorted toward the palace dungeons. His desperate plan had not only failed completely, but it had also demonstrated the incredible protective systems that surrounded the royal family. Even when the human guards were not present, loyal animals like Thunder stood ready to defend those they loved. As the immediate crisis passed, Princess Emma remained close to Thunder, seeming to understand that this magnificent horse was now her special protector. She had learned an important lesson about staying close to the palace and listening to her parents' warnings about safety, but she had also discovered that she had a 4-legged guardian angel watching over her. News of Thunder's heroic rescue spread beyond the palace walls within hours. The royal messenger was sent to inform the nearby villages about the attempted abduction and how it had been prevented. People throughout the kingdom were amazed to learn that a horse had saved their beloved Princess Emma from a dangerous criminal. In the village square, crowds gathered around the messenger as he told the incredible story. Children sat wide-eyed as they listened to how Thunder had jumped over the fence and positioned himself between the princess and her attacker. Many of the villagers had horses of their own, but they had never heard of one acting with such intelligence and purpose. "That horse is blessed by heaven itself," declared old Martha, the village wise woman. "Animals know things that we humans cannot see." Thunder must have sensed the evil in that man's heart and acted to protect our innocent princess. The crowd murmured in agreement, many crossing themselves in gratitude for the miraculous rescue. Back at the palace, investigators began questioning Brennan to learn more about his background and motivations. They discovered that he had been watching the royal family for weeks, studying their routines and looking for weaknesses in the security. His business failures and mounting debts had driven him to desperation, leading to his terrible plan. "I never meant to hurt her," Brennan insisted during his interrogation. "I just thought if I could get some money from the royal family, my problems would be solved." The palace officials were not moved by his excuses. Attempting to kidnap a member of the royal family was one of the most serious crimes imaginable, regardless of the criminal's motivations. Captain Marcus spent the afternoon reviewing security procedures with his team. While Thunder's intervention had saved the day, the captain knew they needed to strengthen their protocols to prevent future incidents. "We cannot depend on miracles," he told his guards. "We must ensure that no intruder ever gets that close to any member of the royal family again." Meanwhile, Princess Emma had difficulty concentrating on her afternoon lessons. Her tutor, Miss Caroline, noticed that the young princess kept looking out the window toward the stables where Thunder was resting. The morning's events had created a special bond between the child and her equine protector that would last forever. "May I visit Thunder after my lessons?" Princess Emma asked politely. Miss Caroline smiled and nodded, understanding that the princess needed to spend time with the horse who had saved her life. "Of course, dear. I think Thunder would enjoy seeing you as well." The Queen decided to cancel her scheduled appointments for the rest of the day so she could stay close to Princess Emma. The thought of how close they had come to losing their daughter was still overwhelming. She found herself checking on Emma every few minutes, making sure she was safe and secure within the palace walls. In the royal stables, Thunder was receiving attention from the palace veterinarian and the stable master. They wanted to ensure that the stallion had not been injured during his dramatic rescue. Thunder stood patiently as they examined his legs and hooves, but his ears kept turning toward the palace, listening for any sounds that might indicate Princess Emma needed his help again. The stable master, an elderly man named Henry who had worked with horses for 50 years, was amazed by Thunder's behavior. "In all my years, I've never seen a horse act with such purpose and intelligence," he told the veterinarian. "It's like he understood exactly what was happening and knew exactly what he needed to do." As evening approached, the king held an emergency meeting with his security advisors. They discussed the security breach and what changes needed to be made to prevent future incidents. However, the king also wanted to talk about properly honoring Thunder for his extraordinary service to the royal family. "This horse has earned a place in our kingdom's history," the king declared. "We must find a way to recognize his bravery and intelligence. Thunder is not just Captain Marcus's mount. He is a protector of the realm who deserves our highest gratitude and respect." The royal advisors suggested several ways to honor Thunder. Some proposed creating a special medal for animal heroes, while others suggested commissioning a statue of the stallion for the palace gardens. The king listened to all their ideas, but wanted to do something truly meaningful that would reflect the magnitude of Thunder's actions. After the meeting, Princess Emma was finally allowed to visit Thunder in the stables. She ran down the stone corridor toward his stall, carrying a bag of his favorite treats that the kitchen staff had prepared. Thunder heard her approaching footsteps and whinnied softly in greeting. "Hello, my brave Thunder," Princess Emma said as she reached his stall. The stallion lowered his great head so she could pet his nose and feed him the special treats. "Everyone in the whole kingdom is talking about how brave you are. You're famous now." Thunder seemed to understand the princess's words and gently nuzzled her hair with his soft muzzle. The connection between them was deeper now than it had ever been before. They had shared a moment of danger together, and Thunder had proven that he would protect Princess Emma with his very life if necessary. Captain Marcus arrived at the stables and watched the tender scene between the princess and his horse. He felt proud of Thunder's actions, but also grateful that the situation had not turned out worse. The captain approached the stall and placed his hand on Thunder's neck. "You did something extraordinary today, old friend," the captain said quietly. "You saved our princess and showed everyone what it means to be truly loyal. I could not be more proud to be your partner." Thunder turned his head to look at Captain Marcus, and in the horse's intelligent eyes, the captain could see understanding and acknowledgement. Princess Emma looked up at Captain Marcus with admiration. "Thunder is the best horse in the whole world, isn't he?" she asked. The captain smiled and nodded. "Yes, Princess. He is definitely the best horse in the whole world. We are all very lucky to have him protecting us." As the sun began to set over the palace, the events of the day started to feel more like a vivid dream than reality. However, the presence of extra guards around the grounds and the continued discussions among the staff served as reminders that the danger had been very real. The kingdom's newspapers were already preparing special editions about Thunder's heroic rescue. Artists were sketching pictures of the brave stallion, and poets were composing verses about his courage. Thunder had become more than just a palace horse. He had become a symbol of protection and loyalty that would inspire people for generations to come. 3 days after the attempted abduction, the king announced his decision about how to honor Thunder. The entire kingdom would celebrate Thunder Day, a special holiday to commemorate the stallion's brave actions and to remind everyone about the importance of protecting innocent children. This would be the first time in the kingdom's history that an animal had been honored with its own special day. The announcement created excitement throughout the realm. Children in villages far from the palace began drawing pictures of Thunder and writing poems about his heroic rescue. Parents used the story to teach their children about bravery, loyalty, and the special bond between humans and animals. Preparations for Thunder Day began immediately. The palace staff worked tirelessly to organize a celebration worthy of such an extraordinary horse. They planned a grand ceremony where Thunder would receive a special medal designed specifically for him. The royal metalsmith was commissioned to create a beautiful golden medallion engraved with Thunder's image and the words, "Protector of the Realm." Princess Emma insisted on being involved in every aspect of the planning. She helped design Thunder's medal and chose the special flowers that would decorate his stable. The princess also requested that all the children from the nearby villages be invited to meet Thunder and hear the story of his brave rescue firsthand. Meanwhile, the investigation into Brennan's background revealed troubling information. Authorities discovered that he had been planning similar crimes against wealthy families throughout the region. His detailed notes showed that he had studied other potential targets and had even considered attempting to kidnap children from noble families. In neighboring kingdoms, this man was far more dangerous than we initially realized, reported the chief investigator to the king. If Thunder had not stopped him, Brennan might have continued his criminal activities and harmed other innocent children. The stallion's actions may have prevented numerous future crimes. The news made Thunder's heroic intervention even more significant. He had not only saved Princess Emma, but had also prevented a career criminal from harming other families. The kingdom's gratitude toward the brave stallion grew even deeper when people learned about the broader impact of his actions. Thunder seemed to sense that he had become someone special within the palace community. The magnificent stallion carried himself with even more dignity than before, and his bond with Princess Emma had grown remarkably strong. Every morning after her lessons, the princess would visit Thunder in his stable, and the horse would always greet her with gentle whinnies and soft nuzzles. The royal veterinarian conducted a thorough examination of Thunder to ensure he could safely participate in the upcoming celebration. The stallion was found to be in perfect health with no injuries from his dramatic rescue. His muscles were strong, his hooves were solid, and his spirit was as vibrant as ever. Thunder is in remarkable condition, the veterinarian reported to Captain Marcus. His physical fitness and mental alertness are exceptional. This horse is truly one in a million, and his body matches his extraordinary spirit. Captain Marcus smiled with pride, knowing that his careful training and Thunder's natural abilities had created something truly special. As Thunder Day approached, delegations from neighboring kingdoms requested permission to attend the ceremony. Word of the horse's heroic actions had spread throughout the region, and many wanted to witness the historic celebration. The king graciously welcomed these visitors, proud to share Thunder's story with the wider world. The palace kitchens worked around the clock to prepare food for the hundreds of expected guests. Special treats were prepared for Thunder as well, including his favorite apples, carrots, and oats mixed with honey. The royal cook wanted to ensure that the guest of honor would have the finest meal possible on his special day. Princess Emma spent hours practicing her speech for the ceremony. She had asked to be the one to present Thunder with his medal, and the king had gladly agreed. The princess wanted her words to express not only her personal gratitude, but also the appreciation of everyone whose lives Thunder had touched through his brave actions. "I want Thunder to know that he is loved by everyone in our kingdom," Princess Emma told her mother while practicing her speech. "He risked his life to save mine, and I want him to feel as special as he truly is." The queen listened with tears in her eyes, proud of her daughter's maturity and grateful for the horse who had kept her safe. The night before Thunder Day, Captain Marcus spent extra time with his beloved stallion. He groomed Thunder's coat until it gleamed like polished ebony, braided his mane with golden ribbons, and polished his hooves until they shone. The captain wanted Thunder to look absolutely magnificent for his moment of honor. "Tomorrow you will be celebrated as the hero you are," Captain Marcus whispered to Thunder as he finished preparing him for the ceremony. "You have brought great honor to yourself, to me, and to all the guards who serve this royal family. I could not be prouder to call you my partner." Thunder stood quietly as his master spoke, seeming to understand the importance of the upcoming celebration. The stallion's intelligent eyes reflected a calm confidence, as if he knew that he had done something important and worthy of recognition. Throughout the palace, excitement built as everyone prepared for the historic ceremony. Servants polished every surface until it sparkled. Gardeners arranged beautiful flower displays, and musicians rehearsed the special songs they had composed in Thunder's honor. The entire kingdom seemed to hold its breath in anticipation of celebrating their four-legged hero. As midnight approached and Thunder Day officially began, the stallion rested peacefully in his stable, surrounded by the scents of fresh hay and flowers. Tomorrow would bring crowds, speeches, and ceremonies, but tonight was quiet and calm. Thunder seemed to understand that his life had changed forever. But his greatest satisfaction came from knowing that Princess Emma was safe and sound in her bed, protected by guards who would never again underestimate the importance of having loyal horses like him watching over the royal family. The stage was set for a celebration unlike any the kingdom had ever seen, honoring a horse whose quick thinking and brave actions had prevented a tragedy and captured the hearts of an entire realm. Thunder Day would become a beloved tradition that would be remembered and celebrated for generations to come. Thunder Day dawned bright and clear, with golden sunlight streaming across the palace courtyard where hundreds of visitors had gathered for the historic celebration. People from every corner of the kingdom had traveled to witness the ceremony, honoring the brave stallion who had saved Princess Emma. Children pressed against the barriers, hoping to catch a glimpse of the famous horse, while their parents shared the story of Thunder's heroic rescue with newcomers. The palace had been transformed into a festival ground. Colorful banners displaying Thunder's image fluttered in the gentle breeze, and flower arrangements in the royal colors decorated every corner. A special platform had been constructed in the center of the courtyard where the ceremony would take place, draped with silk and adorned with golden ribbons. Princess Emma woke up early, too excited to sleep any longer. She had been practicing her speech for days and could hardly wait to present Thunder with his special medal. Her lady-in-waiting helped her dress in her finest blue gown, the same color she had been wearing on the day Thunder saved her life. The princess insisted on wearing a small horse brooch that had been specially made for the occasion. Thunder was groomed to perfection in his stable before being led to the ceremony area. Captain Marcus had worked for hours to ensure that every detail was perfect. The stallion's black coat gleamed like polished obsidian, his mane was braided with golden threads, and his hooves had been polished until they reflected the morning sunlight. Around his neck he wore a garland of white roses, symbolizing the purity of his heroic intentions. As the ceremony began, the royal herald announced the presence of each important guest. Nobles from throughout the kingdom took their places, along with delegations from neighboring realms who had come to witness this unique celebration. The atmosphere was filled with anticipation and joy as everyone prepared to honor their four-legged hero. When Thunder was led into the courtyard, the crowd fell silent in awe. The magnificent stallion moved with dignity and grace, his head held high as he seemed to sense the importance of the moment. Children gasped in wonder at his beauty and presence, while adults whispered about the incredible story that had brought them all together. The king stepped forward to address the assembled crowd. His voice carried across the courtyard as he spoke about Thunder's extraordinary actions and what they meant to the kingdom. "This noble stallion has shown us that heroism can come from the most unexpected places," the king declared. "Thunder's quick thinking and brave heart prevented a tragedy that could have torn our family apart." Princess Emma then took the stage, carrying Thunder's golden medal on a velvet cushion. Her clear young voice rang out as she began her carefully prepared speech. "Thunder is not just a horse," she said, looking directly at her four-legged protector. "He is my guardian angel, with 4 legs and a brave heart. When a bad man tried to hurt me, Thunder flew over the fence like he had wings and kept me safe." The crowd listened in respectful silence as Princess Emma continued her speech. She told them about how Thunder had positioned himself between her and danger, how he had refused to let the criminal get close to her, and how his intelligence and bravery had saved her life. Her words were simple but heartfelt, and many people in the audience found themselves wiping away tears. When Princess Emma placed the golden medal around Thunder's neck, the stallion stood perfectly still, as if he understood the solemnity of the moment. The medal was engraved with his image and the inscription, "Thunder, protector of the realm, hero of the kingdom." It was the first time in the nation's history that such an honor had been bestowed upon an animal. The crowd erupted in thunderous applause as Thunder received his medal. People cheered and threw flower petals into the air, creating a beautiful shower of colors around the honored stallion. Thunder remained calm and dignified throughout the celebration, occasionally nodding his great head as if acknowledging the crowd's appreciation. Captain Marcus stepped forward to accept a special commendation for his role in training such an extraordinary horse. The king praised the captain's dedication and skill, noting that Thunder's heroic abilities were a testament to the bond between horse and rider. "A horse can only be as good as his trainer allows him to be," the king said, "and Captain Marcus has created something truly magnificent." Following the medal ceremony, the celebration continued with demonstrations of Thunder's skills and intelligence. The stallion performed various training exercises, showing the crowd his ability to respond to subtle commands and his remarkable understanding of human communication. Children watched in amazement as Thunder bowed, danced, and even seemed to nod yes or no in response to questions. The highlight of the demonstrations came when Princess Emma was invited to ride Thunder around the courtyard. The crowd held its breath as the young princess mounted the powerful stallion, but Thunder was gentle and careful with his precious cargo. He walked slowly and smoothly, ensuring that Princess Emma felt safe and secure throughout their journey around the ceremonial area. As they rode together, Princess Emma waved to the crowd while Thunder maintained his steady, protective pace. The sight of the brave horse carrying the princess he had saved created a perfect symbol of their special bond. Photographers captured the moment for posterity, creating images that would be treasured for generations to come. The celebration included special performances by the royal musicians, who had composed songs about Thunder's heroic rescue. Children's choirs from local villages sang ballads about the brave stallion, their sweet voices carrying across the courtyard. Even the palace dogs seemed to understand the importance of the day, sitting quietly and respectfully throughout the ceremony. A magnificent feast was prepared for all the guests, with special attention paid to Thunder's favorite treats. The stallion was presented with a cake made entirely of oats, apples, and honey, decorated with edible flowers and shaped like a horseshoe for good luck. Thunder approached his special meal with dignity, taking careful bites while the crowd watched and laughed with delight. As the day progressed, many visitors approached to meet Thunder personally and to thank him for his service to the kingdom. Children were allowed to pet his neck and feed him carrots, while adults shared stories of their own beloved horses. Thunder seemed to enjoy the attention, greeting each visitor with gentle whinnies and soft nuzzles. The king announced that Thunder Day would become an annual celebration, ensuring that the stallion's heroic actions would never be forgotten. He also declared that a statue of Thunder would be erected in the palace gardens, marking the exact spot where the brave horse had saved Princess Emma from her would-be kidnapper. As evening approached and the celebration began to wind down, Emma spent quiet moments with Thunder, whispering her thanks and promises to visit him every day. The bond between them had grown even stronger throughout the day, and both seemed to understand that their relationship was now a part of the kingdom's history. The last guests departed as the sun set over the palace, but the impact of Thunder Day would last forever. Stories of the brave stallion spread throughout neighboring kingdoms and beyond, inspiring people everywhere with the tale of extraordinary courage and loyalty. Children would grow up hearing about Thunder's heroic rescue, and many would dream of having such a noble and protective companion. Thunder returned to his stable that evening, his golden medal still gleaming around his neck. The stallion seemed content and peaceful, knowing that he had been properly honored for his actions. Captain Marcus removed the ceremonial decorations, but left the medal in place as it would remain Thunder's permanent symbol of heroism. In the years that followed, Thunder Day became one of the kingdom's most beloved celebrations. The statue, erected in his honor, became a popular destination for visitors, and children would often leave flowers and treats at its base. Thunder himself lived many more years, continuing to serve as a royal guard horse and maintaining his special relationship with Princess Emma as she grew into a wise and compassionate young woman. The story of Thunder's rescue became a cherished part of the kingdom's folklore, passed down from parents to children as an example of how courage and loyalty can triumph over evil. Thomas Brennan remained in prison for the rest of his life, but his failed crime had ultimately led to something beautiful: the recognition that heroes can come in many forms, including 4 legs, a flowing mane, and a heart full of love for those they protect. Thunder's legacy lived on long after his own time had passed, inspiring generations of people to believe in the power of bravery, the importance of protecting the innocent, and the extraordinary bond that can exist between humans and animals. The brave stallion had not only saved a princess, he had given an entire kingdom a story of hope and heroism that would never be forgotten.